Hello everyone. Today we are going to study an excerpt from Nelson Mandela's autobiography, Long Walk to Freedom. Here, Mandela describes the inauguration of South Africa's first fully democratic, non-racial government. Before we go into the text, here is a brief background of the apartheid in South Africa and Nelson Mandela's role in it. Apartheid was a system where the state promoted racial discrimination in South Africa. It continued from 1948 to the early 1990s. Apartheid was characterized by a political culture of white supremacy. The black Africans, colored and Asian South Africans were repressed by the state. White supremacy is the belief that white-skinned men are superior to the other races. White supremacists discriminate against and try dominating those who are racially different. The economic legacy and social effects of the apartheid continue to the present day. Nelson Mandela was a South African anti-apartheid revolutionary, political leader and philanthropist who served as the President of South Africa from 1994 to 1999. Mandela describes the events of 10th May 1994 in this excerpt from his autobiography. On 10th May 1994, the Union buildings in Pretoria witnessed the establishment of a democratic government. The decades of domination by white-skinned colonizers of South Africa were finally over. Let us go through the highlights of Mandela's presidential speech at the inauguration. Mandela makes the audience understand the significance of their victory. The South Africans have spent years of oppression and lived as outlaws in their own country. The fight for justice, peace, and human dignity has finally triumphed. He urges everyone to liberate people from the shackles of suffering and discrimination. He takes an oath with all the people gathered for the occasion, never to submit to oppression again. Next, we find out how the transfer of power becomes apparent through a number of symbolic acts. The South African military force display a spectacular feat with jet planes to show their loyalty to the new government. The highest defense generals and the police would have arrested Mandela a few days back, but now they greet him with salutes. Through Mandela's account, we also witness the establishment of a new kind of nationalism. The white-skinned members of the audience sing Nkosi Sikelel' iAfrika, and the black-skinned population sings Class-10 to celebrate the moment of harmony. Nkosi Sikelel' iAfrika, or Lord Bless Africa, is used as the national anthem of South Africa since 1997. It was first composed as a hymn by Enoch Sontonga, a clergyman at a Methodist mission school near Johannesburg. Later, this hymn became the national anthem of 5 states in Africa, including Zambia, Tanzania, Namibia, and Zimbabwe. Class-10 van Suid-Afrika, or the Call of South Africa, was the national anthem of South Africa from 1957 to 1994. From 94 to 97, this song was jointly the national anthem with Nkosi Sikelel' Afrika. Afterwards, a new song which borrowed elements from both the old songs was adopted as the country's new national anthem. Mandela, then, recounts the history of the apartheid in South Africa. It stretched for centuries, starting a few years after the Anglo-Boer War. Nelson Mandela attributes the freedom achieved to the sacrifices of the African patriots. They have preceded him in their struggle for freedom and hugely influenced him. Mandela's words express a keen awareness of the tormented past shared by his race. He also feels that extraordinary men like Tambos, Walter Sisulu's, Chief Luthulis, Yusuf Dadus, Bram Fishers were shaped by the tragedies they faced. We next find Mandela stressing on the power of ideas. These ideas could lead ideologically motivated men and women to sacrifice their lives. Even after all the struggle and torture, Mandela retains faith in human nature. He feels that humans can be transformed for the better. Let us have a look at the impassioned rhetoric of Mandela's speech. The brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear. People must learn to hate, and if they can learn to hate, they can be taught to love. For love comes more naturally to the human heart than its opposite. Man's goodness is a flame that can be hidden but never extinguished. These lines display what a magnificent public speaker Mandela was. You may compare his words to other presidential speeches by national or political leaders from other countries and think about their similarities. Mandela next talks about the two obligations of an individual's life. An individual is, first, responsible for his family, and second, for his community. He talks about the concept of personal freedom and collective freedom. He shares how he has managed to merge personal and collective freedom in his lifetime. He recalls his own transformation from an individual who wanted selfish freedoms to someone who fought for the freedom of his race. Finally, Mandela highlights the similarities between those who oppress and those who are oppressed. The oppressed need to be liberated from their state of subjugation. The oppressors, too, need to be rescued from the chains of their own hatred and prejudices. Nelson Mandela throws light on a number of concepts in this chapter. As we wrap up this lesson, let us quickly recall them: peace, liberty, human dignity, nationalism, patriotism, personal and collective freedom, the shackles of the oppressor and the oppressed. We have now come to the end of the chapter. We hope you find this video helpful. Don't forget to go through the recap and question answer lessons on this chapter. See you soon in our next video.